Welcome to Behind the Palms, special edition. This is Urban Legends of Palm Beach County. I'm Ken Anderson.
I'm Rose Guerrero, the Research Director for the Historical Society of Palm Beach County.
And today we are going to go through some submitted questions about urban legends in Palm Beach. You ready to get started?
It's going to be fun.
So the first one is actually one that I've heard about. Did undercover German officers party in Palm Beach during World War II?
Man.
I've heard this. So
Yeah.
my context that I've heard is that they were at some of the clubs, some of the country clubs, and it turned out they were German officers from the
Shocker.
submarines
Yeah.
or U-boats.
Yes. Well, it could have happened. There is no evidence for that. In 1942, when these U-boats were prepping to attack our Allied ships on the Atlantic Ocean. And so these German U-boats came close to shore. They could be spotted from the shoreline, and the United States had to react. We had the Civil Air Patrol, the Army Corps. They were all put on alert and would patrol the coastline, spot these German U-boats, and actually bomb them. So any type of survivors might have washed ashore and could have snuck up into any of the empty homes on Palm Beach Island and taken residency. But was there evidence? Is there evidence that that's ever occurred? Only hearsay.
Yes, because I've heard the other side of that rumor is that they were camping out in the empty residences
Right.
during summer when
Right.
the snowbirds were not here, so they would just break in, and so
I've heard that non-residents could break into unoccupied dwellings and enjoy pools on the island as well. So is it possible? Yes. Is there evidence? No.
okay, so we're gonna say plausible, but no proof to.
But do you think the town of Palm Beach is small enough that they would recognize an outsider and be like, you kind of have a funny accent?
Yes, so not likely. We'll go with not likely on that one. Okay, so the next question is there pirate treasure hidden in the beaches of Jupiter?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. The Gulf Stream, it comes very close to Palm Beach County. And so there have been shipwrecks that have been discovered off the coast of Jupiter Inlet. In fact, in the 1980s, a lifeguard spotted a cannon in the waters, and he went diving for it, and he saw a shipwreck, and he actually got salvage rights to the shipwreck, and he was able to excavate that entire shipwreck and claim it for himself and his partner. They had to share portions of it with the state of Florida, but that was the San Miguel. The San Miguel was shipwrecked right off of Jupiter, so there's no surprise if there are additional shipwrecks. They just probably haven't been found yet.
Yes, and I think the San Miguel might have been part of the greater fleet of in 1715. There was a big Spanish fleet that was traveling out of Cuba up the Gulf Stream and got caught in a hurricane. And all of those ships, I think, except for maybe one, got wrecked up on all along the Florida coast. And that's
Right.
actually why the Treasure Coast is called the Treasure Coast.
Exactly. That Gulf Stream brings those ships really close, and they get stuck on sandbars during storms, and they leave their treasures.
So I don't know. There should be still, they're still finding gold all along the beach.
I think so. I agree. Yeah.
I'm going to say that is fact, not fiction, right?
I would agree with you.
Here's another one about smuggling. We did an episode of Behind the Palms on smuggling,
Right.
more to do with Riviera Beach and rum runners of the Prohibition era. But this question asks, are there secret tunnels in Palm Beach used for smuggling?
Well, those secret tunnels that everyone's talking about are more like private beach access points, and they're not so secret as they're private and they belong to private residents.
Now, would those tunnels have been built in the prior to the 1920s to be Do you think they were ever built purposely for smuggling, or were they built before the 1920s
I
or
don't
after?
think so. I don't think the residents of Palm Beach in the 1920s really needed to smuggle because they kind of already had people that could provide them access to something like rum or any type of liquor during, the Prohibition.
Yeah.
They didn't really need to hide it so much as we think they did.
And as we know from the episode of Behind the Palms linked right here, go ahead and watch if you haven't already. But there was plenty of rum being snuck in from the Bahamas through Riviera Beach.
Yes.
So they probably didn't need to bring it in on the beaches of Palm Beach through the little tunnels under the road.
Beach access, more likely. Yeah.
So we're going to say that is a false legend. But there are tunnels under the road. It's just they weren't built for smuggling. Mm-hmm. This is interesting, and I've seen this, and I've always wondered why it is so flat. But there's a little reef? Is the reef off Palm Beach an old road? There's like that little reef that's like maybe 20 yards into the water. Is that an old road?
It is. So I have a photo. Here, you can zoom in and see. There used to be an old road on the east side of Palm Beach. By the 1940s, it was getting hit with several erosion and hurricanes and so forth. And you will see in this image that the road had already gotten covered with sand. This was after the 1947 hurricane. And they decided to cut a road on the west side of the island.
So right here?
Yes. You can start seeing it being cut through. And that is the current road on the south side of Palm Beach, Sloan's Curve.
Interesting. So that road, this right here is Sloan's Curve, curving down towards the intercoastal side of the island. And it used to just go straight.
It did. And then they realized that they needed to have better access. So yeah, there was a road there.
Did not know that. I mean, I had heard the story of it, and it looks like a underwater road that just has a bunch of rocks and looks like a reef. So here's another one that is mentioned in an upcoming episode of Behind the Palms. Was the Palm Beach Pier not rebuilt to discourage surfing?
Oh, that's a good question. So surfing was actually illegal in Palm Beach in the 1960s. And the pier gets destroyed in the late 1940s, 50s after a hurricane. It was so destroyed by that hurricane that they decided that they weren't going to rebuild, that it wasn't needed, that it wasn't economically efficient for them to rebuild.
Yeah. I have a hard time believing that they didn't want to rebuild the pier because of surfing.
Yeah.
I think it was the 1947 hurricane that knocked the pier down.
Right.
And then we're talking 20 years later was the surfing ban in Palm Beach. So
Right.
I think if they were going to rebuild the pier, it probably would have been done and short thereafter. Okay, so we're going to go with false on that one as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's too far away.
That's all I've got.
Those were really great questions.
Yeah, that's really fun. I had actually heard quite a few of these questions, and it's fun to know the true story behind it. So send us more questions, and we'll do more of these and answer more of these urban legends. Until next time, thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next one.